a great rapper, writer, he's a model.
Millions of streams, fire music, feeding the streets. Right? Congratulations, bro.
Rapper DIGITALxDWNLD freshman, one of the most beloved rappers in the game right now.
Performing from his #1 album. This is his self-titled album, Playboi Carti.
The term rock star is defined as a person who is treated as a celebrity, especially in inspiring, fanatical admiration. Looking to the past, names like Bon Scott, Jimi Hendrix, and Ozzy Osbourne come to mind. But today, rap is the new rock and roll, and no one personifies pure energy quite like Playboi Carti. Infusing punk and rap, Playboi Carti has one of the most interesting aesthetics in music today. His unique style is best seen in the merchandise that he sold during his 2018 Neon tour. Carti uses his voice as an instrument, often manipulating his vocals to rap in baby voice. This tactic utilized by Carti is best seen on his verse on Tyler the Creator's Earthquake. Along with manipulating his vocals, Carti has also mastered the art of repetition. While his lyricism doesn't exactly turn heads, that's not the intention. Playboi Carti's music is all about the atmosphere and the vibe. And the perfect example of this is his latest release, Lotta Red. While a lot of people really hated on this album when it was first released last Christmas, many have changed their opinions on the record after seeing Carti perform these tracks live. The beats used on his projects, the unique vocals, and the overall punk, gothic aesthetic are all factors that have gained Carti his cult-like following. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, Jordan Carter grew up with a rebel mindset. In an interview with Complex, he would go on to say, "My ma couldn't tell me shit. Nobody could tell me shit." Attending North Springs Charter High School, Carter was an exceptional basketball player. However, his dreams of being an NBA star would be thrown to the side as his interest in music came to the forefront. Carter never really took interest in education and would often skip classes to work on his early music. Adopting the name Sir Cartier at 14 years old, not a lot is known about Jordan Carter's early musical work. He would release his first mixtape in 2011, THC, The High Chronicles, and in 2012, Cartier would drop a 9-track mixtape, Young Misfit. A majority of his early work has been just totally wiped from the internet. As he matured and his creative vision evolved, he changed his name to Playboi Carti in 2013. While balancing a job at H&M and also trying to adventure musically, Carti barely graduates high school. However, with school totally out of the way, he could finally fully pursue his musical interests. He had already made connections with the likes of Atlanta rap legend Key, seeing him as a mentor and studying his work. However, Carti would find his signature sound working with producer Ethereal and joining Awful Records. Carti moved to New York in 2014, at first living with family in the Bronx, but eventually moving in with his drug dealer. This is important because Zed drug dealer would actually sell to members of ASAP Mob. a hip-hop collective with many successful artists and producers. Carti would first meet ASAP Bari and shockingly find out that he already knew about Carti's music. Bari eventually introduces Carti to ASAP Rocky in 2015, who Carti would eventually move in with in Texas as Rocky became Carti's mentor. In leaving his hometown and collaborating with other artists, Carti would really come into his own. And in 2015, Carti would really show off his new sound, releasing 2 singles to SoundCloud, Fetty, a collaboration with Maxo Cream and Dash, and Broke Boy. Broke Boy is considered Playboi Carti's breakout song, and will be produced by Mexico Dro, another pivotal figure in the Playboi Carti career timeline. Mexico Dro collaborated with Carti 2 months later on a short 2-track project, Death in Tune. The 2 songs on the project would be Money Counter and Count It Up. As the year came to a close, Carti would gain some clout as he would be featured on Rich the Kid's track, Plug. It's also important to note that Carti would start his modeling career around this point in time. He would be a part of the Yeezy Season 5 fashion show, as Kanye West debuted his 2016 album, The Life of Pablo. While this isn't really that important when discussing Carti's musical career, it is quite ironic that him and Kanye would end up collabing and actually developing a pretty close relationship a few years later. As he grew an underground following off of his SoundCloud releases, Carti would begin to collaborate with fellow up-and-coming rapper Lil Uzi Vert. The 2 would first release the track Left Right in January of 2016. This would result in the duo going on a brief 9-show tour as Uzi prepared to drop his upcoming mixtape, The Perfect Love Tape. Carti would be featured on the 2nd track of the project, Of Course We Ghetto Flowers. Carti would be signed to Interscope Records in 2016 and join Auge Imprint as he was featured on ASAP Mob's single Telephone Calls. As Carti continued to make connections in the music world and be featured on major projects, he would begin to work on his debut mixtape, Playboi Carti.
Yo, Pierre, you want to come out here?
In his debut mixtape, Playboi Carti would introduce his unique delivery and soon-to-be iconic ad-libs over transcendent beats, most of which were produced by Pierre Bourne. Pierre is a very talented rapper and producer who studied musical engineering in Atlanta. He would make connections in the city with the likes of Metro Boomin, Young Nudy, and Lil Yachty. To make money on the side, he would pick up engineering work for artists and would end up having a session with K Supreme. Pierre would make some beats for K, and K would eventually play a certain beat to Playboi Carti, and Carti would actually take it and utilize it for his upcoming project, self-titled. Without contacting Pierre, Carti would begin work on the track featuring Lil Uzi Vert that we now know as Woke Up Like This. Carti would soon link up with Pierre and really make him his right-hand man as the duo worked in February of 2017 on Self-Titled. Carti would end up having some beef with Mexico Dro, and although Dro did have one beat on Self-Titled, that being Had To, this beef would pretty much prevent them from ever working together again in the future. Carti and Pierre would prove to have amazing chemistry, and when Self-Titled was officially released, Pierre would have production credits on 6 tracks. In the lead up to the mixtape's release, Playboi Carti would drop 2 singles. First, the song Lookin' would be released on March 17th, and Woke Up Like This on April 7th. Self-Titled would officially drop on April 14th of 2017. The mixtape would be 15 tracks long with a runtime just under 47 minutes. Playboy's debut mixtape would reach number 12 on the US Billboard 200 and feature his breakout track, Magnolia. Opening with Pierre Bourne's soon-to-be iconic producer tag taken from the Jamie Foxx show, an abstract beat kicks in as Playboi Carti's minimalistic lyrical style speaks on the Magnolia projects in New Orleans. I would consider this to be Playboi Carti's breakout song because it's really what got him his first dose of mainstream attention. He would even perform this track live on Jimmy Kimmel. Another highlight of this mixtape is the opening track, Location. The heavenly beat, complemented by a very faint yet beautiful guitar lick, really sets the tone for not only this project but also the career of Playboi Carti. From the start, it's clear that something is very special about his delivery. Pitchfork's Brianna Younger describes the appeal of Playboi Carti perfectly, saying, "Playboi Carti feels like a break from life, the soundtrack to a mindless good time. Carti is tactful in discerning where and when he can get away with letting the instrumental ride, and when he needs to rise to the occasion." Carti only has 3 features on this project, and all 3 are amazing. This project would further the working relationship between Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi Vert, with Lil Uzi being featured on the tracks Lookin' and Woke Up Like This. Also, Carti would team up with A$AP Rocky for my personal favorite song off this mixtape, New Choppa. The two really float over this very abstract and eerie beat, and of course this has significance because Carti really got his first big break from getting associated with A$AP Mob. The final track I'm going to highlight is Flex featuring Levin Cali. This track begins with muffled dialogue. You hear like a liquid being poured into a cup, and then a really dreamy beat kicks in. With Carti's lyrical content in the first part of this track being all about his newfound wealth, I assume that this is kind of him on top of the mountain looking down at all the people who doubted him and are mad that he made it. The beat switches to a slower tempo as Levin Cali hops on this track with some beautiful vocals following another phone call snippet. In the audio, a girl aggressively tells Carti to just stop calling her. This really humbles Carti because while he has the money and the clout now, he still has emotions and he feels that harsh reality of rejection. In a way, Playboi Carti's debut mixtape is a perfect parallel to his identity. Carti flashes his ego yet exposes his vulnerabilities as he climbs up the ladder of fame. With his cult-like following growing in numbers, Carti accepts his fate as a rock star and fully embraces the Playboi persona. Surely, the lifestyle that comes along with it is dangerous, but if it kills him, at least he'll die lit. After dropping his debut mixtape, Playboi Carti would turn heads and be seen as someone to watch in the music industry. A few months after releasing Self-Titled, Carti would be one of 10 artists included in XXL's 2017 freshman class. And Carti's underground, yet growing fan base would get hype as Carti began to tease new music. Carti would post a picture to Snapchat captioning it Carti Uzi Tape 1629, with the numbers referencing both Carti and Uzi's respective blocks in Philly and Atlanta. The duo would then announce a tour for winter of 2017 where they would likely perform some tracks off their new project. But just a day after announcing the tour, Uzi would pull out of the project and the album would never be released. It's unknown how many songs were expected to be on 1629 or how far the project was in terms of being finished, but in 2018, Carti would be interviewed and quoted to say that him and Uzi have about 100 songs in the vault.
Like, how many records do y'all have together that we haven't heard that are just sitting on a hard drive somewhere?
Like 100.
100?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Nonetheless, Carti would get back in the studio in late 2017 to begin work on his debut album. As time went on, Pierre Bourne would take to Twitter in March of 2018 to update fans saying that the album was finished. On May 2nd, Carti would upload a single for the yet-to-be-named album on SoundCloud, with the track being Love Hurts featuring Travis Scott. On the track, the two trap legends match each other's energy and flex their status as rock stars. 8 days later, on the 10th of May, Carti would hop onto Twitter, surprising fans with the announcement that the album was dropping at midnight. Both Carti and A$AP Mob would upload a picture of the album's cover art to Twitter just an hour before release. In the black and white shot, Playboi Carti is seen diving into a mosh pit with his middle fingers in the air. The rebellious and gothic look of the cover would perfectly complement the album's name, Die Lit. The album would be 19 tracks long with an impressive feature list of the likes of Nicki Minaj, Chief Keef, Travis Scott, and Young Thug. At a length of 57 minutes and 39 seconds, Die Lit would impress many with its unique sound and pure energy brought by Carti. It's a record that really takes all the criticism said about Carti's style, him just being a mumble rapper, turns all those qualities up to 100, and then creates this masterful listening experience. With minimal bass-heavy production handled by Pierre, the beats never fail to set the tone of the topic at hand on a track and complement Carti's vocals. This is perfectly seen on the intro track, Long Time. The powerful synths used on this track's instrumental create a feeling of nostalgia as Playboi Carti reflects on his rise and persistence to be successful.
I'd rather die before I come in last.
The following track, R.I.P., slaps the listener out of this dreamy state and starts in this really aggressive sound. This song was absolutely made for mosh pits and sees Carti take on this in-your-face delivery that had yet to be seen by him at this point in his early career. The energy heard on this song was even given a visual, with a grimy music video mirroring the look of the Die Lit album cover. Then, after all the hype of R.I.P., the next track really makes it feel like, yeah, you just went to this like crazy concert and you're walking out, it's like a cold night or something, and all that adrenaline's coming down as the next track begins, Lean for Real. This is one of my favorite tracks off this record, and with a very ominous beat, it really proves that while a lot of tracks on this album are pretty different, they all kind of come together aesthetically. Carti's art of repetition is perfectly seen on the chorus of this track, and Skepta absolutely brings the heat with a killer verse. Now, I couldn't talk about Die Lit without bringing up the track Shoota, featuring Lil Uzi Vert. Likely the duo's most iconic track, Carti and Uzi ride high as two close friends who rose to superstardom from SoundCloud roots. While Carti teased opening up about his personal feelings on Self-Titled, he gives us even more of a view on his mental state and personal relationships through his music on Die Lit. On Home, KOD, Carti takes us through the story of how he had this girl who he was seeing but was kind of pimping her out and just really waiting for her every day to come home and give him money. It wasn't really a very fulfilling relationship. He didn't have any love for her. But on the following track, Fell in Love, we see Carti take a different perspective on a new relationship where he wants this woman to be exclusively his. Carti absolutely perfects his infectious flow and iconic ad-libs on Die Lit, and this is best seen on the outstanding track, Flatbed Freestyle. Carti, like any other rapper, talks about being the greatest, but the fact that there's a freestyle on this album that is such a banger, it goes to back up everything Carti's saying about his own talent. Carti really came into his own during this era. Not only did he get to do his own thing art-wise with the aesthetic being centered around punk and heavy metal themes, then you also have his delivery being different. He's really aggressive on some tracks. But perhaps most importantly, Carti introduced his baby voice on Flatbed Freestyle. When released, Die Lit hit a peak of number 3 on the US Billboard 200. Carti really gained some popularity off this album, and I would say this is where he went from being a SoundCloud rapper to an absolute enigma. He would embark on the Neon Tour in late 2018 and get to express his creative concepts through the merch sold at the shows. Rather than going back to a formula, like many mainstream artists have done in the past and currently do today, Playboi Carti totally evolved his sound from Self-Titled to Die Lit. However, the greatest evolution in Playboi Carti's sound and style was yet to occur. As Carti dives deeper into the punk rock mindset, he embraces anarchy and undergoes a self-described metamorphosis with his second album, Whole Lotta Red. In late 2018, the plans for Playboi Carti's second studio album would be revealed, as a video would surface online of him discussing the project and referring to it as Whole Lotta Red. As Playboi Carti embarked on the Neon Tour, he would play 2 new tracks in Seattle, Washington that were believed to be expected on Whole Lotta Red, one of which would eventually be released that we know now today as New Neon. Whole Lotta Red would first be worked on from late 2018 into early 2019. On May 17th, Tyler the Creator would drop a lead single for his upcoming album, Igor. The track, titled Earthquake, would not only feature Playboi Carti, but also be entirely performed with his baby voice. Carti's baby voice would be very prevalent in the leaked tracks off of Whole Lotta Red that we would hear in early 2019. Songs like Pissy Pamper, which is a track that was originally made for Young Nudie, would get fans hyped as they illegally surfaced online. Carti would kind of give into the trend, even though obviously people weren't supposed to hear the track yet, and he would play it at festivals as he was teasing Whole Lotta Red in 2019, but he would soon learn that the sample would not be approved. And maybe someday the owner of the sample would have approved it and, folded eventually. But the chances of that happening would drastically go down as the song would illegally be uploaded to Spotify and trend on Spotify's charts. And while people are getting hyped for the music and it shows that they are really excited and anxious for this project to drop, this will lead to nothing but delays as Playboi Carti decided to remake the album. In July, Playboi Carti would announce that Whole Lotta Red would drop within 60 days and the album would have no features. On the 16th of October, he would take to Instagram, posting a picture of himself likely in the studio with a caption saying 48 hours locked in. But within that 2-day time slot, the album would not be released. As 2019 came to a close, things were not looking very good. I mean, there was news surfacing that Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi weren't exactly on great terms, and Carti was doing nothing but teasing fans. He wasn't updating them with any type of information of substance. He would say that the album was dropping in 2020, but early on in the year, Playboi Carti would actually be arrested on gun and drug charges as his vehicle was pulled over for having an expired tag. He would get released in less than 24 hours, but this is just a really weird pit stop in the Whole Lotta Red timeline. 10 days later, on April 14th, Carti would post a cover art of some sorts featuring him on his knees in a dark, grimy room. This would be the cover art for his single, At Me, released on the 16th. This track would essentially be a response to haters who were talking shit about him. Some fans have theories that this track's about Lil Uzi Vert, and after this single would be released, Uzi would take to Twitter to call it just meh. This would be the thought process of many listeners who thought the track, which fully featured Carti's baby voice, was just bland. Following the release, which came along with a music video, Carti would tease a Monday album release, which obviously would never be followed up on. Carti would soon take a hiatus from social media as news of him ghosting his wife on the date of his son's birth and overall relationship issues with Iggy Azalea would make the rounds. On November 23rd, Carti would return to social media, specifically to Instagram, posting a picture captioned "Album Turned In." Carti would describe the album to be alternative and psyched out in an interview with GQ magazine, and begin to post pictures of himself with red hair and mesh shirts. Playboi Carti would adapt a dark vampire aesthetic, and the snippets that he would play on Instagram Lives and even post to Instagram would mirror that heavy metal style. Carti's brash lyrical delivery, as heard on R.I.P. off of Die Lit, was apparently going to be very prevalent on Whole Lotta Red. And we got a preview of that as he was featured on Lil Yachty's Flex Up in late November. Then, on December 11th, DJ Akademiks would announce some information on a live stream that he apparently had to sell his soul for. He would first say that Kanye West was the executive producer for Whole Lotta Red. Now, Carti had already posted a video of himself vibing out to the track Go to the Moon, where Kanye had a verse. However, Carti would post pictures hanging out with Ye in Wyoming the day after Akademiks announced his news. Akademiks also would say that Whole Lotta Red was planned to be dropped on December 25th, and Carti would confirm this release date in a tweet on December 21st. Interesting little tidbit here, Kanye actually gave Carti the idea of dropping Whole Lotta Red on Christmas Day. He was originally going to drop Donda on December 25th, but he decided, after working with Carti and I guess obviously doing executive producer work, that it would actually be a great idea for this album, which was kind of having elements of satanic stuff in the merch and also in general just darker kind of horror movie themes. He thought it would be an ironically good fit for it to drop on Christmas, and I thought it was pretty genius. Around this time, billboards and graffiti art would be spotted promoting Whole Lotta Red, and the album would officially go up for pre-order on December 22nd. With the album going up for pre-order, fans were able to see the cover art for this project. Taking inspiration from Slash magazine, the cover art features Playboi Carti posing with the text "The Wonderful World of Red" on the side. Carti would also post a video of Kid Cudi vibing out to a verse he had likely just recorded for the song Pissy Pamper, aka Kid Cudi. However, Kid Cudi featuring Kid Cudi would not even be featured on the WLR track list when it was posted. So, I mean, at least we could sleep well knowing it wasn't even planned to be on Whole Lotta Red anyway. On December 25th, 2020, Playboi Carti would officially release Whole Lotta Red. At 24 tracks long and a runtime of just over 1 hour, Playboi Carti absolutely turned the music world upside down when dropping his heavy metal punk-infused trap masterpiece. Aggressive would be the best adjective to describe Whole Lotta Red. Carti brings an energy that he is now synonymous for on this album. The beats, made by the likes of Filthy, Pierre Bourne, and more, are synthy and fractured with a cryptic vibe that eventually ties up to an emotional conclusion. The album begins with the opening track, Rockstar Made. A Filthy produced beat hits and literally has enough energy to wake someone up from a coma. Carti is manipulating his voice in so many ways on this track. He's just emitting confidence.
Never too much, never too much.
After all these years, Carti's fulfilled a prophecy he's become.
Fresh start made.
Then this eerie, spatial instrumental hits as Kanye West opens up the second track, Go to the Moon. Kanye absolutely kills his verse, and I know a lot of people like to complain that, Carti isn't too impressive here on this song, but just having Kanye here means so much. Like I mentioned, Carti got his modeling career started when he was a part of Kanye's Yeezy Season 5 fashion event. He even has a track off of Die Lit, Mileage, where he says, "Shout out Kanye." The fact that he is someone at the level of Kanye West in terms of fame and popularity reflects Carti's own status. Intensity picks up once again on the third track of the album that some people say is the best off this record, the track Stop Breathing. Again, an insane beat by Filthy gives Carti the perfect platform to spit some insane bars.
Ever since my brother died, I've been thinking about homicide.
Listening to this track, it's a song that almost sounds dangerous. Now, a track that a lot of people clowned on back when Whole Lotta Red was released last December was the song Jump Out the House. It's a 1.5-minute track where Carti mainly repeats the phrase, jump out the house. But the energy that this song brings when not only listening to this album chronologically, but also being played live is insane. As I've already said in this video, repetition is a huge part of Carti's game. And this track personifies that Carti's music isn't about in-depth lyricism, but rather the vibe. One of my personal favorite tracks off of this album is the song Metamorphosis featuring Kid Cudi. Cudi humming under Carti's egotistical proclamation on the chorus is absolutely insane. It somehow manages to have the same energy as Rockstar Made, Jump Out the House, and Stop Breathing, while also at the same exact time having that Cudi style sounding like you're on the moon or you're floating through space. It's really interesting. Both Carti and Cudi absolutely float over this instrumental, and it's just really unique. Just the levels of this album are insane. On a track like Slayer, you have Carti talking about, how he has to get his life together, he's living his life like a rebel, over a very kind of upbeat and positive beat. Then on the track No Sleep, a darker beat hits, and while he's talking about the same theme of living a rebellious lifestyle and now getting into the details, like when he goes to sleep, he's dreaming about murder, it's almost like you get a deeper perspective, and it's at times scary. Carti brings the energy and in-your-face lyrics for the first 13 tracks on this album. But the tone shifts on track 14, Control. A vulnerable Playboi Carti opens up about a woman that he loves deeply, but is drifting away from him. She's wanting to leave. Carti is losing control of this relationship, and unlike he's ever done before in his music, he shows desperation, begging this girl to stay. And then on the next track, Punk Monk, you see Carti opening up about being lonely and having no friends. No one really reaches out to him or ever gives him a chance. Even when Carti does pick up the energy again on the second half of this album, like on the track On That Time, he still seems more vulnerable and less emphatic. On the standout track of this record, Sky, Playboi Carti creates a dazed atmosphere as he reaches a state of numbness. The instrumental of this track is done by Art Dealer. He famously is the man behind the synths and instrumental of Carti's last album opener, Long Time. And the instrumental he did here for Sky, it just puts the listener in a trance. Die for Guy is another one of my favorite tracks off this album, in a midst of a very emotional 4-track send-off. Playboi Carti talks about his blood brother who he tried to be like when he was younger, and therefore his influence of being a punk and a rebel is what influenced Carti to act the same way and therefore become Playboi Carti. Carti expresses immense love in a time of heartbreak, saying he would literally put his life on the line for his brother. At the end of this track, Playboi Carti has some insane lyrics reflecting on his drug habit and how it could potentially lead to his young death, as it has so many in his genre. His flow is insane and sends off the energetic side of this album, as in the closing tracks, he's going to get very slow and personal. The detail of a Whole Lotta Red ad-lib at the tail end of this track is absolutely genius, paying homage to the heavy-hitting sounds of this record as he slows things down for the closing motif of desperation. The final song off of Whole Lotta Red is Feel Like Dying. A sample from Bon Iver's song "E.Me" complements a slow and heavenly beat as Carti talks about a love so strong that he would die for it. While he expressed putting his life on the line for his blood brother, Carti's relationship with girls in his music has always been kind of in a way to flex, like I hooked up with this girl or something. But here it's different. Carti is talking about a girl that he really loves. He even talks about that bachelor mentality that he formerly had, but says now it's time to show the world what he's learned, as he has new responsibilities in life as a newfound father. He is living a rock star lifestyle, and unfortunately, looking back at the past, that leads to a tragic result. But before Carti leaves this world, he wants to make things right. As he reflects on his humble beginnings, he maintains his persistence and confidence as the track fades out. Carti has a scratchy delivery saying he feels like dying, as the album ends on a relatively depressing note, with Carti truly exposing his feelings to the listener. Behind every rock star is a person who has human emotions. While many people think of the glamoring lights on stage and the millions of people watching in stadiums, the truth of a rock star lifestyle can be very dark. And the fact that Carti opens this album up so powerfully and ends it on a damn near nihilistic thought process truly shows that he is rockstar made.
I'm just pissed the fuck off and I'm tired of it. I've been so nice, like behind the scenes, trying to wait for this man to get his shit together. He's never going to get his shit together. The only thing that he cares about is what the world thinks of him, because he's a fucking narcissist.